Let me ask you something. What are you waiting for? Another year to pass? Another Monday to come around? Another sign from the universe? Because here's the truth: most people spend their entire lives waiting. Waiting for someone to tell them it's their time. Waiting until they feel ready. Waiting until everything feels perfect. But perfection is a myth. Readiness is a lie, and time doesn't wait for you to figure it out. It moves forward with or without you. Some of you are sitting on ideas that could change the world, businesses that could solve real problems, art that could inspire people you've never met. But instead of building, you're scrolling. Instead of starting, you're doubting. And instead of showing up for yourself, you're hiding behind excuses dressed up as reasons. Waiting is the enemy of progress. It's subtle, seductive, and often disguised as patience. But in reality, it's one of the greatest obstacles between people and their potential. Most individuals spend their best years waiting for the right moment, the perfect conditions, the clearest signs. They tell themselves they're being careful or strategic, but the truth is they're afraid to leap, afraid to fail, afraid to discover that they weren't as ready as they thought, so they wait. They wait for permission, for support, for the stars to align, for certainty. But in the process of waiting, life continues without them. The clock doesn't pause just because someone hasn't figured it out yet. The world doesn't hold its breath for anyone's dreams. Progress demands movement. It's not about giant leaps or dramatic shifts. It's about the simple act of stepping forward every day in spite of uncertainty. But that step never happens if you're stuck on pause, if you're constantly rationalizing inaction. Waiting often feels safe because it gives us the illusion of control. We think we're protecting ourselves from mistakes, from embarrassment, from judgment. But what we're really doing is delaying growth. Waiting becomes a shield, one that blocks not just the bad, but also the good. The opportunity to learn, to adapt, to evolve, to discover what we're actually made of, all of that is sacrificed on the altar of hesitation. Some people confuse waiting with preparation. They tell themselves they're building skills, gathering knowledge, laying groundwork. But preparation only has power if it's followed by execution. Otherwise, it's just another form of procrastination with better PR. You can study every map, know every risk, analyze every variable, but none of it matters if you never take the journey. The path reveals itself through action, not contemplation. You learn more in one messy step than in 100 perfect plans. But that kind of clarity never arrives to those who wait. It only comes to those who move. The most dangerous thing about waiting is that it becomes a habit. The longer you do it, the more natural it feels. And eventually, you start to build a life around it, a life of almosts, maybes, and what-ifs, a life where dreams get replaced by routines, where passion fades into background noise. It happens quietly. No alarms go off, no one warns you. You just wake up one day and realize that the door you were waiting to walk through is no longer there. It closed and someone else walked through it. Someone who was less prepared, less talented, but more willing to act. Progress isn't reserved for the smartest, the wealthiest, or the most connected. It belongs to the bold, the ones who move when it's uncomfortable, who speak when their voice shakes, who build before they feel fully ready. These are the people who grow. These are the people who lead, because they understand that momentum matters more than perfection. They know that every delay comes with a cost, and that the longer you wait, the harder it gets to begin. They've learned to choose motion over comfort, courage over caution, and purpose over paralysis. Waiting convinces you there's always more time, more chances, more opportunities. But the truth is, every day you delay is a day you can't get back. It's a day your future self might desperately need. It's a day that could have moved the needle, started the climb, changed the story, but instead it vanishes, and with enough vanishing days, the dream begins to vanish too. Not in one dramatic moment, but slowly, quietly, invisibly, until it becomes something you once believed in but no longer recognize. Ideas mean nothing without execution. It's easy to fall in love with a thought, to daydream about a breakthrough, to sketch out a concept in your mind and convince yourself that you're onto something world-changing. People often speak with pride about the ideas they've had, the inventions they thought of years ago, the businesses they could have started. They carry these ideas like trophies in their minds, convinced that having the thought alone is a kind of success. But the world doesn't reward potential, it rewards results. No one gets remembered for what they almost did. Execution is the great separator. It's the line between the dreamer and the doer, between the thinker and the builder. Everyone has ideas, they're everywhere, they come during showers, walks, late nights, quiet mornings, but the discipline to bring those ideas to life, that's rare, because execution requires effort. It demands time, energy, sacrifice, and resilience. It asks you to show up when it's hard, to keep going when it's boring, to finish when it stops being exciting, and most people aren't willing to do that. So the idea stays an idea, it fades, it gets replaced by another. And the cycle continues. An idea without execution is like a seed never planted. It may contain all the potential in the world, but it will never become anything if it's not placed in the ground, watered, and cared for. Execution is what turns vision into reality. It's what transforms abstract into tangible, and it's almost never glamorous. It's not about lightning strikes or sudden breakthroughs. It's about doing the unsexy work over and over, writing, coding, designing, testing, failing, learning, repeating. It's about staying committed long after the motivation has worn off, about finding momentum in small wins when the big results still feel out of reach. Most people don't lack creativity, they lack persistence. They don't follow through. They quit when it's not easy, when it's not fun, when it doesn't go viral in a week. But success isn't about flashes of brilliance. It's about consistent, focused action. You don't need the perfect idea. You need the courage to start and the endurance to keep going. That's where progress lives. That's where transformation happens. Greatness isn't born in a brainstorm. It's built in the process. It's the result of showing up daily, even when there's no applause, no recognition, no immediate payoff. There are thousands of people right now sitting on ideas that could shift industries, inspire movements, solve real problems, but because they haven't taken action, those ideas are just noise. They exist only in the safety of imagination, and the longer they stay there, the more they deteriorate. Momentum dies, urgency fades, doubt creeps in. Eventually, the idea becomes just another what if. And the world remains unchanged, not because it couldn't be better, but because someone chose comfort over commitment. The truth is, execution exposes you. It puts you in the arena. It forces you to face feedback, resistance, failure, imperfection. That's why people avoid it. It's safer to stay in the realm of potential, where nothing can go wrong. But safety is an illusion. If you're not willing to execute, someone else will. Someone else will take your idea, or one just like it, and run with it. They'll make the calls, do the work, take the hits, and eventually reap the rewards. And you'll be left with the idea brilliant, beautiful, and completely irrelevant. Ideas are easy. Everyone has them. But execution is rare, and that's why it's powerful. It's not the one with the best idea who wins. It's the one who's willing to work it into existence, to push past resistance, to take something invisible and make it real. Discipline outlasts motivation. Motivation is a spark. It comes quickly, burns hot, and disappears just as fast. It shows up when things are exciting, when goals feel fresh, when possibilities seem endless. It's the energy you feel after watching an inspiring video, hearing a powerful speech, reading a life-changing book. It feels unstoppable in the moment, but the problem with motivation is that it's emotional. It depends on how you feel, and feelings are unreliable. They shift with your mood, with your circumstances, with the smallest inconveniences. One bad day, one rejection, one unexpected setback, and motivation can vanish without warning. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline isn't emotional. It doesn't care if you're tired, unmotivated, bored, or afraid. It's not reactive, it's grounded. Discipline is a system you build, not a feeling you chase. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep. It's doing the work even when results aren't visible. It's showing up on the days that feel dull, slow, and empty. And those days matter more than anyone wants to admit, because that's where the real transformation happens. Not in the highlights, but in the silent repetition of effort. People who rely on motivation quit when things get hard. They chase the next wave of excitement, looking for a new plan, a new idea, a new reason to feel inspired again. They think their lack of motivation is the problem, when really it's their lack of structure. Motivation might get you started, but it will never get you to the finish line. Only discipline does that. Only the quiet, relentless, often invisible work of consistency has the power to create lasting results. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not loud. No one claps for it. It doesn't come with applause, validation, or dopamine rushes. But it's the only thing that keeps you moving forward when everything else is telling you to stop. It builds momentum brick by brick. It teaches you to trust yourself, because when you say, "I'll do it," and actually follow through again and again, you become someone reliable. You build integrity. You stop depending on external motivation because you've built internal control. Every successful person you admire, every high performer, every game changer, they didn't get there on motivation alone. They didn't become who they are because they were always inspired. They got there because they built discipline into their identity. They trained themselves to work even when they didn't feel like it. They made it non-negotiable. They understood that emotions come and go, but habits shape your direction. And they chose to build habits that aligned with their vision, not just their mood. There will always be days when you don't feel like it. Days when your mind tells you to skip, to rest, to quit. Days when the goal feels too far, too hard, too unrealistic. On those days, motivation will not save you. You won't be able to think your way into action. You'll have to act your way through resistance, and discipline is the tool that lets you do that. It's the invisible force that carries you when everything else runs out. The greatest advantage isn't talent, luck, or even intelligence. It's discipline. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's being able to delay gratification, to push through fatigue, to stick to the plan when the excitement disappears. Because the truth is, most goals aren't missed because of a lack of knowledge or passion. They're missed because the person chasing them didn't have the discipline to keep going when motivation disappeared. Comfort zones kill potential. They feel safe, familiar, and easy to manage. They're built around routines that don't challenge us, relationships that don't stretch us, and environments that don't demand growth. It's the space where everything is predictable, where the risks are low and the outcomes are known. It's also the place where ambition fades, where hunger weakens, and where dreams slowly turn into memories of what could have been. The comfort zone isn't a resting place. It's a trap, a subtle one that doesn't announce its danger. It just makes you comfortable enough to stop chasing anything beyond it. People stay in their comfort zones because discomfort feels like danger. We're wired to avoid pain, and discomfort looks and feels like pain. But growth is always on the other side of that line. It never shows up inside the boundary of what's easy. It always demands that you step into unfamiliar ground, that you take a risk, that you stretch beyond your current capacity, and that process is never comfortable. It requires failing in public. It requires being bad at something before you get good. It requires making decisions when you're not 100% sure, and most people won't do that, so they plateau. Not because they don't have the talent or the drive, but because they won't leave what feels safe. Comfort convinces you to aim lower. It tells you to be realistic. It rewards you for settling. You begin adjusting your goals to fit your surroundings instead of adjusting your surroundings to fit your goals. And with every compromise, your standard drops just a little. It's never sudden. It's not a crash, it's a quiet decline. The kind that doesn't make noise until you wake up one day and realize you're far from where you wanted to be, but somehow too numb to feel alarmed by it. The most dangerous part of staying comfortable is that it doesn't hurt immediately. It doesn't sting like rejection or failure. There's no crisis, just this slow erosion of purpose, drive, and vision. And because there's no urgent pain, there's no urgent action. You keep telling yourself you'll change things eventually, that you'll push harder when the time is right. But that time never comes. The longer you stay comfortable, the harder it gets to break out. The mind adapts to ease. It builds routines around comfort and defends them like they're necessary for survival. And before long, discomfort starts to feel impossible, not just unpleasant. You weren't built to stay safe. You weren't built to live inside a cage of ease. Every time you've grown, every time you've leveled up, every time you've evolved, it's because you stepped into something that challenged you, something that tested your endurance, your patience, your self-belief. The version of you that exists inside the comfort zone is incomplete. It's a fraction of your full capacity. Because capacity is never revealed through routine, it's revealed through resistance. And the comfort zone has no resistance. The people who change the game, who break barriers, who build extraordinary lives, they don't avoid discomfort. They seek it. They train for it. They become familiar with the feeling of being stretched, challenged, and uncertain. And they do it not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand that the pain of growth is far better than the numbness of comfort. They trade security for progress. They trade ease for evolution. And in doing so, they access levels of strength, skill, and success that most people will never reach. Simply because most people refuse to be uncomfortable. Comfort zones aren't just limitations, they are illusions. They feel like protection, but they're actually prisons. They give you just enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. They keep you safe, but small. They keep you busy, but bored. They keep you alive, but not awake. You don't have time. Act like it. That's not a dramatic statement. It's a reality. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and yet it's the one most people waste without even thinking. They assume they have years to figure it out, decades to get serious, unlimited chances to try again. So they delay. They put off the difficult conversations, the hard decisions, the bold moves. They wait for the right moment, the perfect alignment, the mythical future where everything will be easier. But that moment never comes, and the clock doesn't pause for anyone's excuses. Every day you wake up, you're one day closer to the end. That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to focus you. Because once you truly understand that time is limited, it forces you to choose how you use it. You begin to cut through the noise. You stop tolerating the distractions, the laziness, the comfort that leads to nowhere. You start realizing that not all hours are equal. Time spent scrolling, overthinking, comparing, regretting, that's time you never get back. It's gone, lost, and it doesn't care how good your intentions were. People always say they don't have time, but the truth is they don't have priorities. They confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their schedules with things that don't matter, and then wonder why they're not moving forward. But the people who get things done, the ones who build, lead, create, and rise, they treat time like a currency they can't afford to waste. They invest it with precision. They plan their days like their lives depend on it, because in many ways they do. Your future is shaped in the hours you're living right now, and the quality of that future depends on what you're doing with those hours. Time doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't care about your dreams, your plans, your goals. It doesn't care how talented you are, how much potential you have, or how big your ambition might be. If you don't act on it, none of it matters. The harsh truth is that you can have the best ideas in the world, but if you keep pushing them to tomorrow, you'll never see them come to life, because tomorrow is just a placeholder. It's a mental delay tactic that feels safe but delivers nothing. You won't always have the energy. You won't always have the support. You won't always have clarity, but you will always have 24 hours today. That's the constant. What changes is how seriously you treat them. Whether you treat today like it matters or like it's disposable. Whether you take action or just plan to. Whether you move forward or stay in place convincing yourself that you're preparing. Time rewards action, not potential, not planning, not even talent. Just execution over and over. Day after day, the most dangerous mindset you can have is thinking there's still plenty of time. That belief leads to complacency. It makes you passive. It turns your goals into options instead of imperatives. And before you know it, years pass, momentum dies, the dream fades. You look around and wonder where all the time went, but the answer is simple: it went where you sent it, into the things that distracted you, the comfort that sedated you, the delays that fooled you. And the tragedy is not just in what you lost, but in what you could have built instead. You get one life. One shot to do something that matters, to live a story worth telling, to leave something behind that proves you were here. That's not meant to put pressure on you, it's meant to give you urgency. Because urgency is the edge that turns average into excellent, that turns ideas into impact, that turns time into legacy. You don't have time, act like it. That's not a dramatic statement, it's a reality. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and yet it's the one most people waste without even thinking. They assume they have years to figure it out, decades to get serious, unlimited chances to try again. So they delay. They put off the difficult conversations, the hard decisions, the bold moves. They wait for the right moment, the perfect alignment, the mythical future where everything will be easier. But that moment never comes, and the clock doesn't pause for anyone's excuses. Every day you wake up, you're one day closer to the end. That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to focus you. Because once you truly understand that time is limited, it forces you to choose how you use it. You begin to cut through the noise. You stop tolerating the distractions, the laziness, the comfort that leads to nowhere. You start realizing that not all hours are equal. Time spent scrolling, overthinking, comparing, regretting, that's time you never get back. It's gone, lost, and it doesn't care how good your intentions were. People always say they don't have time, but the truth is they don't have priorities. They confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their schedules with things that don't matter, and then wonder why they're not moving forward. But the people who get things done, the ones who build, lead, create, and rise, they treat time like a currency they can't afford to waste. They invest it with precision. They plan their days like their lives depend on it, because in many ways they do. Your future is shaped in the hours you're living right now, and the quality of that future depends on what you're doing with those hours. Time doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't care about your dreams, your plans, your goals. It doesn't care how talented you are, how much potential you have, or how big your ambition might be. If you don't act on it, none of it matters. The harsh truth is that you can have the best ideas in the world, but if you keep pushing them to tomorrow, you'll never see them come to life, because tomorrow is just a placeholder. It's a mental delay tactic that feels safe but delivers nothing. You won't always have the energy. You won't always have the support. You won't always have clarity, but you will always have 24 hours today. That's the constant. What changes is how seriously you treat them, whether you treat today like it matters or like it's disposable, whether you take action or just plan to, whether you move forward or stay in place convincing yourself that you're preparing. Time rewards action, not potential, not planning, not even talent. Just execution, over and over, day after day. The most dangerous mindset you can have is thinking there's still plenty of time. That belief leads to complacency. It makes you passive. It turns your goals into options instead of imperatives. And before you know it, years pass, momentum dies, the dream fades. You look around and wonder where all the time went, but the answer is simple: it went where you sent it, into the things that distracted you, the comfort that sedated you, the delays that fooled you. And the tragedy is not just in what you lost, but in what you could have built instead. You get one life. One shot to do something that matters, to live a story worth telling, to leave something behind that proves you were here. That's not meant to put pressure on you, it's meant to give you urgency. Because urgency is the edge that turns average into excellent, that turns ideas into impact, that turns time into legacy. Fear is a signal to move, not to stop. It's one of the most misunderstood forces in life. People treat fear as a warning, as a red light that tells them to turn back, to wait, to stay where they are. But in truth, fear is often a green light in disguise. It shows up at the edge of growth, at the start of something unknown, right before you're about to do something meaningful. Fear isn't proof that you're unprepared, it's proof that you're standing in front of something that matters. Most people run from fear. They avoid anything that makes them nervous, anxious, or uncomfortable. They build lives around avoiding it, creating routines that keep fear out of reach. But what they don't realize is that by doing so, they also keep growth out of reach. They never stretch, never leap, never test their true limits, because fear has convinced them that discomfort equals danger. But fear and danger are not the same. Danger is real, fear is imagined. It's a story your mind tells you when you're about to leave the familiar. Every breakthrough starts with fear. Every major decision, every leap, every reinvention, fear is always there, sitting in the front row. You can't avoid it, and you don't need to. What you need to do is rewire your response to it. Instead of hearing fear and slowing down, start using it as a compass. Let it point you toward the thing you've been avoiding. Let it highlight the exact direction you should be moving toward. Because fear is loudest when you're closest to something powerful. Fear shows up before first steps, before big changes, before speaking out, before taking a risk. It whispers every reason why it might not work, every reason you should wait, every reason you should stay where it's safe. But you can't let fear write your script. If you do, you'll live a life that looks nothing like the one you're capable of. You'll choose the quiet disappointment of what's easy over the loud fulfillment of what's right. You'll build a future based on comfort instead of conviction. Fear feeds on delay. The more you avoid what you fear, the bigger it becomes. It grows in the shadows, it exaggerates, it multiplies, and before long, it becomes a wall that blocks you from even seeing the possibilities beyond it. But when you face it, when you move anyway, you shrink it. You strip away its power. You learn that most of what you feared was fiction, not fact. You start to develop proof that you can handle more than you thought, endure more than you believed, become more than you imagined. The people who rise are not fearless. They just stopped letting fear be the final vote. They feel the fear the same as everyone else, but they keep going. They train themselves to walk toward the thing that scares them. They learn that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep moving with it in your pocket. And with each step, that fear turns into confidence, that unknown turns into skill, that doubt turns into power. Fear is a part of the process. It shows you where the limits are, and it invites you to cross them. It doesn't mean turn back, it means look closer, lean in, ask yourself why it's there. Most of the time, it's because you care, because it's important, because it matters. And the moment you stop running from that, the moment you start walking straight into it, everything begins to change. You stop waiting for confidence to arrive and start building it through action. You stop needing guarantees and start embracing uncertainty as part of the game. You stop living behind the wall of fear and start discovering everything that was waiting for you on the other side.